What's up, guys? Sebastian Castillo here. It's Tuesday afternoon at the mall, waiting on a date to show up. So I thought I'd record this quick video in light of something that happened over the last 2 days. Just give a peek at how everything looks here. Pretty nice place. Anyways, one of the major obstacles you will face when diving into the world of entrepreneurship, or even just becoming independent, blazing your own trail, visiting a different country, and doing things differently, is going to be resistance from family, and perhaps even resistance from close friends, but mostly family. That goes especially for those of you who come from an Asian background. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because even though I've been out here in Mexico for quite a while, and I've proven that I can stand on my own 2 feet, and that I'm doing pretty well now with online sales, working online, living here, my family still wants me to come home to Canada and get a 9-to-5 and get a degree or some kind of certification and work a regular job. And I'm sure a lot of you who are already kind of on this path, or somewhat on this path, can relate. So the easy solution here, or at least a simple solution, is to just smile and nod. Right? You can just smile and nod. You don't have to actually act on any advice, especially the unsolicited advice that your family gives you. Most of it comes from my father. And here's the thing, parents, for the most part, they want the best for their kids, and that's fine. Right? That's great. It's good. It's always better to have a parent who's maybe a little over concerned than one who doesn't really give a shit about what you do or what happens to you. But in this case, it's just, and again, most of the probably, my parents are in their 60s. They would qualify as baby boomers, or at least born later in the baby boomer era. And so they come from a very different reality and very different world, very different rules. Things have changed so much, right? The cost of living, right? We don't even really have to go deep there. But my dad often says, oh, when I was your age, I already had my first house, and I had already owned multiple cars, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, everything was significantly cheaper, and there were a lot of factors that just really made it easy for anyone to succeed, or at least get on their own 2 feet and live their life. Nowadays, not to make excuses, right, but it's a lot harder, right? Even especially in the last 3 years. Let's take cars, for example. Buying a used car. I got a used 2004, 2005 Dodge Caravan in 2020, paid in full for like $2,000 Canadian, so maybe like 1700 US. The same vehicle will probably cost double now. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's just ridiculous, right? It's way overpriced. The topic of this conversation is not cars and a difference in living standards, but the idea here is that no matter what kind of resistance you're facing from your parents, don't listen. Do not listen, especially if you are already making headway like I am, where you've proven, okay, you can make money on the internet, you can manage your time, you have a strong work ethic. I'll tell you, what really triggered this video was receiving an email from my dad, out of the blue really, saying, son, I'm really concerned about your future. You need to think about what things are going to look like when you're 35, 40. You need to think about your pension and insurance and dental care. And I'm just reading this, I'm thinking, are you daft? It's a bit of my British accent. I thought, are you daft? Who gives a fuck about this stuff? A pension? Dude, pensions are not going to be around by the time any of us retire. It's a joke. It's a pyramid scheme. And then insurance and dental care and everything. Okay, yeah, if you're from the States or Canada, where a visit to the dentist's office is going to cost you just $100 or $150 for a basic cleaning, okay, maybe you'd want that covered. But here in Mexico, it's $30 or less, depending on who you go to. Right? So I don't give a fuck about insurance covering my dental. I'll make $30 and pay it myself. You know? And then he was saying, oh, you know, he sent me some job ads from Indeed regarding a position at a car dealership. He works at a car dealership right now. As a shuttle driver, just part-time to keep busy after retirement. But his idea is, oh, you know, take a look at this, son. You know, you can work in your own office and you can be a sales rep and earn between 60 to 90K Canadian per year, and you only have to work 9 to 5, don't work weekends. I'm just reading this, I'm thinking to myself, like, again, are you daft? Are you daft? I already do fairly well. I earn in US dollars. I have a fair bit of flexibility over my schedule. I choose to work a lot of hours because the more calls I take, the more I can close. And I don't have to be locked in an office. I can work from home. He's saying, oh, you get to wear a suit. I get to close deals in my underwear. Right? And I don't have to pay Canadian taxes. I don't have to commute. I don't have to deal with office politics or a bunch of woke bullshit. And not to mention also, you know, think about it, if I had taken this kind of advice in 2019, 2020, I would have, you know, basically, in order to keep my job like so many people did, would have had to cut my balls off and hand them to my boss on a platter, having to wear a fucking mask and inject myself with some fucking vaccine. I don't have to do that working online. I have a lot of freedom. If I'm in a country where something like that happens again, just leave. That's one of the reasons I came to Mexico. It was one of the only countries that was still open and didn't require any test or any proof of vaccination to enter or exit the country. So this is hard evidence for why you should not listen to your parents about your path, especially if they're boomers, especially if they're older like this. And my dad only ever worked like he worked a handful of jobs early on, but then he worked the same job for 25, 30 years. Barely any raise. Just killing himself. And again, don't misinterpret this. Don't think that I'm ungrateful or anything, but guys, you don't want the same thing for you. Especially nowadays when you look around. You see. I'm part of a private network right now. It's called New Money. And it's run by a guy I used to be very close with. If you follow the breadcrumb trail, you'll probably figure out who it is. The guy is 24 and he's a multimillionaire. That is possible now. It has never been easier. If you really put your mind to it, you can make this stuff work. I'm not a multimillionaire yet, but I'm fucking confident that I will be. I'm saying that right now on this video. Maybe not even in a year, maybe not 2 years, but it's going to happen. Right? I don't have to be beholden to any limitations that my parents try to put on me. Right? And when you deny their advice, when you refute it, they might try to dangle something over your head, which I unfortunately are trying to do now. Mentioning how I asked them for money 2 years ago because I was in dire straits. I needed some help. Even though I had never ever asked for money before from them. I even turned down my dad's offer to buy me a car when I was 18. He bought my sister one. He's lent my sister money multiple times. But again, don't want to get too personal. The idea here, guys, don't let your parents rule your life. Don't let them determine your vision. Don't let them tell you what you can and can't do, because the fact of the matter is, all due respect to them, but most of them are fucking clueless. Most of them are clueless, and if you listen to their advice, they will just drag you down into mediocrity and into oblivion. And then 5-10 years go by, you'll look back and think, Jesus, you know, what if things had ended up differently? Because then you're trapped in a fucking 9 to 5. You don't have any real marketable skills. You're probably in debt. You have a mortgage, a car payment, all this bullshit. Get out while you can. Get out while you can. Get away from your parents as soon as you can. When you have the money, you can stand on your own 2 feet. You don't have to live luxuriously. If it means moving in with a roommate or crashing on a friend's couch and paying them $500 a month in rent or something, do it. Get away, stand on your own 2 feet, and start making your own way. And be resourceful. It wasn't, as many of you who have been watching me know, it hasn't been easy for me to do this. In retrospect, yeah, I could have saved myself a lot of time if I had known the right people to speak to and the right moves to make. But hindsight is always 20/20. So take that to heart, guys. Don't let your parents wear you down and convince you that you need to do things their way, because their way is probably going to lead to misery. Take care.